Hello and welcome to DM classes. Welcome to another practice session on MCQs. So today we have taken an article from today's The Hindu newspaper which is mentioning about Gaganyaan astronaut mission, which is India's first space mission. So the Gaganyaan crew is a crew module which will host India's astronauts on their human space flight mission. So the developments in space sector, they can be asked in your papers, and they form very important part in your syllabus. So let's take and utilize this opportunity to revise the mission Gaganyaan. The first point is first human space flight program, and it will be launched by ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. And the aim of this mission is to send Indian astronauts into low Earth orbit. So it will be coming into the range of 400 kilometers from the Earth. So it's into low Earth orbit. The mission will carry 3 astronauts for about 3 days in space. And the launch vehicle will be, remember this point also, it will be GSLV Mark III vehicle, as it may be asked in your statement based questions. So the astronaut training was conducted with assistance from Russian space agency, which is Roscosmos, and it includes crew module, service module and crew escape system. And remember this point also, India will become 4th country to humans to space independently after it has been already done by United States, Russia and China. So India will not be the first country, it will be 4th country. Moving on to the objectives of Gaganyaan mission. The objective will be to demonstrate human space flight capability by sending Indian astronauts to the low Earth orbit, which we just discussed. It will be 400 kilometers above the Earth. And also to ensure safe launch and return and develop crew escape and recovery systems. It will also be the objective of the Gaganyaan mission. Develop indigenous space technology like life support, crew module, re-entry systems. And also conduct microgravity experiments in space. It will also be one of the mission of this Gaganyaan mission. And also it will boost scientific research and innovation in India. Of course it will. And prepare India for future missions like space station and deep space missions. It will also be the mission of this Gaganyaan mission. So having discussed these points regarding the Gaganyaan mission, let's now move on to the question formed on this discussion. The question is asking about, consider the following statements about the Gaganyaan mission. The first statement is, it aims to demonstrate India's human space flight capability. Yes, we saw from the discussion, yes, it's India's space mission which will demonstrate India's human space flight capability. The option becomes correct. The second statement says, the mission intends to send astronauts into low Earth orbit. This is very important. It will be into low Earth orbit, around 400 kilometers above the Earth. So the statement is correct. The third statement says, one of the objectives is to develop indigenous life support and crew safety systems. Yes, it will be one of the missions of this, objectives of this mission. And the last statement, fourth statement says, the mission aims to establish a permanent Indian space station in its first launch. So this statement becomes incorrect, as there is no objective of establishing a permanent space station. It will not be in the first launch. Maybe it will be a later development, but this Gaganyaan mission, which is the first human space mission of India, is not aiming for establishing a permanent Indian space station as of now. So this statement will become incorrect. The question is asking about which of the following given statements are correct. The only 1, 2 and 3 statement becomes correct. So let's now move on to the next news of the day. So this news appeared on today's The Hindu opinion page. The news is mentioning about the elections. So we will take this opportunity to revise some pointers regarding the elections in India and the election commission itself. Let's first see the constitutional basis of elections. So elections in India are conducted under Article 324 and 329, which is dealing with the elections in India, under Part 15 of the Indian Constitution. And Article 324 says its powers, the powers to conduct these elections, it is vested with the Election Commission of India under Article 324. This is, you should remember this Article 324, which is, concerned with the Election Commission of India. So the second point we will be discussing is the Election Commission of India, which is an independent constitutional body. So it's because the basis of this Election Commission of India is Article 324 itself, therefore it becomes a constitutional body. So it's an independent constitutional body. And what's the aim of this? What aim of this Election Commission is to, they conduct elections for Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, state legislative assemblies, and president and vice presidential elections are also conducted by Election Commission of India. So this much you should remember. Coming to the composition of Election Commission of India. So the composition is first Chief Election Commissioner, and then we have election commissioners. Currently we have CEC plus 2 members, 2 election commissioners. So let's see this. Article 324 states that the Election Commission of India shall consist of Chief Election Commissioner and such number of other election commissioners as President may decide. So initially it was a single member body from like 1950s to 1989. It was a single member body, but since 1993 it functions as a 3-member commission. So presently it has Chief Election Commissioner and 2 election commissioners. So let's now see types of elections in the India. So general elections to Lok Sabha. We have general elections which is conducted for Lok Sabha. We have state assembly elections for Vidhan Sabha, assemblies of states, and we also have by-elections. Let's suppose some seats become vacant, then for that seat by-elections are conducted. And also in India, local body elections, panchayats and municipalities. As you see, panchayats and municipalities, but this is not conducted by the Election Commission of India, but by the respect to state election commissions. These elections are conducted by respect to state election commissions. And coming to the voting system, part of voting system, India follows the first past the post system. For example, so what is this first past the post system? Say for example, there is a constituency and there are 3 candidates. Okay, and one candidate secures, suppose there are 100 votes and one candidate secures 40. So another candidate secures 35 votes, 25, another secures 25 votes. So it will be first past the post system is whichever candidate secures the maximum of votes. Okay, not majority. Majority will be 50%, more than 50%, but maximum number of votes, that is in this case it is 40 votes. Therefore this candidate will be declared as winner of this seat. This is what is called as first past the post system. So it does not follow majority but maximum number of votes. So this is first past the post system, which is followed in India. It says candidates with highest votes wins, not necessarily the majority. As we just saw, candidate that was securing 40 votes is the winner in this constituency. So coming to the election process, the steps, sometimes you may be asked about the steps followed. The first step is announcement of election schedule by the Election Commission of India itself, and then filling of nomination is done, and scrutiny of nomination is third step. And then fourth step is some candidates are given the window to withdraw the candidatures if they want. and then campaigning period starts, then polling happens, and then counting of votes is done, and lastly there is the declaration of results. This is the steps followed in the election process. So coming to the voting age, so the minimum age for voting in India is 18 years. Is 18 years today, but initially it was not 18 years. It was reduced from 21 years by 61st Constitutional Amendment of 1988. Okay, you should remember this was initially 21 years, but by the 61st Amendment of Constitution 1988, this was reduced from 21 to 18 years. So presently we have 18 years as a minimum voting age in India. Let's now move on to the question on the discussion of election and election commission. The question says, consider the following statements. First statement is, elections in India are conducted by the Election Commission of India under Article 324 of the Indian Constitution. Yes, this statement is correct, as we saw from the discussion. And second statement says, India follows the first past the post system in Lok Sabha elections. We just saw in Lok Sabha we follow the first past the post system. This statement becomes correct. The third statement says, the voting age in India was reduced from 21 to 18 years by 61st Constitutional Amendment of 1988. This statement is also correct, as we just saw from the discussion. The fourth statement says, the Election Commission conducts elections for panchayats and municipalities in all states. We just saw this is not the Election Commission. In fact, this is the state election commissions which conduct elections for panchayats and municipalities, as this is not the jurisdiction of Election Commission of India. This statement becomes factually incorrect. Therefore, the question is asking about which of the following statements are correct. The correct statements become only 1, 2 and 3 statements are correct in this regard. So with this, we come to the conclusion and the end of this discussion. Hope you enjoyed this MCQs. Thank you so much for joining with the DM classes. Have a nice day.